All right, everyone, we might get started. Just to check, I'll be recording this meeting. So if you've got any concerns about that, just let me know. There's a few people that can't be here today, so I'm recording it so they can listen to it at a later date. I'm Pippa. Hi. I work at Country Arts SA, and I'll be the tour coordinator on this tour, working with Slingsby. Over at Slingsby, we've also got Andy and Stacey. If you guys can see them, there you go.
Hello, everybody.
Andy.
Hello. Hi, guys.
I might just quickly run through everyone who's online, just so that we know. There's a few phone numbers there that I'm not too sure who they are. Peter, we've got Peter Ross from Tamworth.
Hey, guys.
And from TYK, we've got Janelle, Chris, and Alex.
Hello.
Guys.
Hello.
Lisa. Where's Lisa from? Oh, it's Cat Dad.
And Ian.
And Ian.
Hey, guys.
Where have you gone? Oh, that's us. No, that's ugly.
We've got Brad up in the top end. Brad Holder from South Headland.
It's just the connection. It's going to drop it down. Alright, flip it back. That's it.
Kelly, where are you from?
Annoying.
Kelly's from Mandurah, it says in her chat.
Yes.
Ah, thank you very much. Welcome, Kelly.
She's got no microphone.
Ah, beautiful. And we've got Tom. Welcome.
Hi there. From Monash.
Hey, Tom.
Andy. Hi, Stacey.
Hello, Tom.
And on the telephones, who have we got on the telephone?
Janelle.
And who else on the telephone? We've got Stephen from BMAC.
Yeah, Stephen with Kylie and Heidi.
Right. Welcome. And is there anyone that I haven't mentioned?
It's Lee from Cairns, from the Young Company. I don't know if...
Hey, Lee.
Hey, how are you?
Very good.
It's good. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. So in pursuit of a smooth running meeting, we might get everyone to turn their cameras off. I'll just keep Andy and Stacey and myself on for the first section. That'll just make the internet run a bit faster for us. We all love the NBN. And I'll just ask that, if possible, can you all please mute yourselves? And then if you've got any questions during our chat, please, you feel free to write them on the group chat section. Otherwise, at the very end of the meeting, I'll open it up to any other questions, and you're more than welcome to unmute yourselves and ask any questions then. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited that we got funding and that we're going ahead. So it's really great news. It's such a beautiful show. Slightly biased, but I might hand over to Andy to give us a quick overview. Some of you that were at the previous meeting would have maybe have heard some of this, but it would just be good for those that haven't heard, just to get a bit of an overview.
All right. Thanks, Pippa. Well, it's great to be with you all, and thank you very much for inviting us to bring this show to your community, to your audience.
So a really quick overview of The Young King. It's an Oscar Wilde story, a much sort of forgotten story. And with this production, we really try to cast the audience, so your audience, your community, as the people of the town where this story is being told. So there is this immersive entry process where we'll work with, depending on the size of the capacity of your audience, 4 or more courtiers, and there'll be local performers or front of house staff or young artists, and we'll work with you to train them in a 3-hour workshop on the day of get-in, and they'll become then our courtiers to lead the audience into this experience. So there is an immersive entry process where, as part of that, the audience will make their own hats that represent the 4 corners of the kingdom, and then they sit together in the chamber of the young king, which is like his bedroom, and hear this story of really a story of questioning privilege and how to be a good leader, which is a fairly important thing for us all to consider at this moment in time, I think. So yeah, we're very, very proud of the show, and we've now, earlier this year, completed a 6-week tour of North America with this, going into 6 very different venues. And in 3 weeks' time, we take the show to Dublin for the Dublin Theatre Festival. So it's pretty exciting for us to be taking Oscar Wilde back to Ireland. And then it does a 6 and a bit week tour through Ireland and into the UK. And then we'll come back here and get it ready to bring it all to y'all, as our American friends say. So hopefully is that a helpful overview? Anyone got any questions about that?
No, pretty clear.
Beautiful.
Great.
Hopefully we'll answer quite a few questions throughout the meeting, which would be very useful. So just moving on to item 3, everyone now has their contracts for this tour, and on there I've asked that you put in your performance times. I just wanted to get Stacey to quickly run through what the ideal performance times are and the break times, so that you know going into that what sort of the boundaries are and what we ask that you keep to.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Pip. So it's a 75-minute running time, and that includes the pre-show immersive activities. So, for example, if the show started at 10 and finished at 11:15, and that includes all the pre-show, we ask for a 2-hour break in between performances, but we know that that's not always possible with school shows due to busing and getting kids in and out. So talk to us if you can't do a 2-hour changeover, because the way the show works, we have for example, if you had a 10 o'clock show, from 10 to 10:30, that's the pre-show experience with your local courtiers. And then from 10:30 to 11:15 is when the performers come onto stage. So there is a little bit of room for movement there in terms of the performers can still have a break when the courtiers start for that second performance. So that's why we're not strict about the 2 hours. We want to talk to you and work with you and your local communities to make it all work.
So something like a 10 a.m. and a 1 p.m. Would work okay?
Yeah, that's what we work out.
It's less than the 2 hours, but because
that's fine.
Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Which so far that's mainly been the request that I've had from presenters. So they seem to be the most opportune time, which is great. So with specific venue queries, we can go through that offline, but that gives you a really good overview of it. In regards to a performance time of 10 a.m, so the audience start arriving maybe 15 minutes beforehand. Will the courtiers be out in the foyer working with the audience during that time as well?
Yeah, we're opportunistic about that. So if the audience arrive earlier, we'll start that entry process, because it means that we can go a little bit more slowly and a little bit more gently. But if they arrive exactly on 10, then we can cope with that as well. We used to have a show start time and an entry process start time, and it was just confusing for people. So we just say it starts at 10, But if people arrive earlier, we'll commence that process. So the courtiers should really be scheduled, to ready to go half an hour before the show start time.
So the courtier's call time for a 10 a.m. show would be 9:30.
Correct. Yeah, ready to go at 9:30.
All right, beautiful. And that would also take care of any late comers. So if someone arrives at 10 past 10, that's not an issue.
That's correct. Yeah, because the actual storytelling begins at 10:30 or thereabouts. In fact, there's past the parcel, and so there's plenty of time for latecomers. So if a latecomer arrives at 10:35, we can probably still slip them in. But if they arrive at 10:40, well, they're pretty late.
40 minutes late would be ideal. All right, fantastic. In regards to the schedules, in the contracts, I've included a very broad overview of each venue's schedule. So the bump in is the first day. Ideally, we can do 9 till 5 on that first day, with the courtiers coming in for a rehearsal from 2 till 5. If possible, depending on the venue, Slingsby might need to be in there a little bit longer that day, but they'd only need for one venue tech to be there to give them access. So it'd be more resetting some of the foyer displays and just finalising everything, but they wouldn't actually be needing crew to lift or rig or focus or anything like that during that time.
And can I just jump in there, Pip, if I can, just to say as well, if it comes down to the fact that your courtiers are not available until 3:30 or something, we could shift that courtier briefing time till 3:30 till 6:30. That would just have implications just on there being a house tech there for us having access.
Yeah, fantastic. So we'll then, next morning would be opening performance. Some venues have 2 performances that day. Others have a few days of performances. So that's fantastic. That's all in the schedule for anyone that needs to see that. That's all I've got with schedule-wise. We might move on to the marketing. I'm aware that everyone's probably getting started or most way through their season guides for next year. So I've sent out the Dropbox link to everyone that's got all the plethora of marketing material that Slingsby come with. So there's lots of videos, there's bios, headshots, rehearsal shots, many images, many videos, feature resources. It's got a massive amount of resources in there for you to help. We're here to help in any way we can for you to market the show and to publicise it. So if you do have any questions, any requests, they're always welcome. Please send them through. We're aware that a tour is it needs to sell. So we can send out the greatest show in the world, but if no one sees it. So we're definitely on board with you guys to help in any way we can there. At one of our later Zoom meetings, we'll talk more about publicity and things like that. Okay, and that will help greatly, I think. Also, while the tour is going around, any new quotes that come into the show will be updated by Andy and Stacey. So that Dropbox link will constantly be updated with the most recent reviews that we think will help you in selling the show. I've got a question here from Tom. Are both original performers confirmed for 2019? I haven't spoken to Andy.
Yeah, that's a really good question. We have because of the duration of the tour and some requirements of some of the cast, we're going to have 2 casts that will be touring, and we'll let you know exactly who will be doing which legs. But we have Tim Overton and Jackie Phillips, who are the original cast, and then joining them as well, and there may be a combination a couple of times, James Smith and Genevieve Pico. So again, 2 really outstanding performers, and we'll obviously be undertaking significant rehearsal and preparation for those other performers as well. James will have done a 6-week tour of Canada and the USA by the time the Australian tour begins. So he'll have a lot of shows under his belt. And then also Quincy Grant, who's our composer, who generally is the musician, he will be joining for some of the tour, but he will also be replaced at times by Josh Belperio and Yundi Ewan. So there's 2 other pianists as well that will be joining. But we will make sure we support those artists so that you get the same quality performance, and you will continue to have the dynamic of a young performer in the role of the young king, and a very experienced, mature performer in the role of female performer in the role of everybody else.
Fantastic. In regards to marketing and publicity, because most of the images are of Tim and Jackie, will you be producing more collateral with those?
Yeah, I guess we can look at that. Yeah, we'll have a chat about that.
Yeah. So Janelle Cupac's just asked if we can send through the bios for those other 2 artists.
Yep.
And if you can send them through when it's convenient, that'd be great. As we know the availability of actors, I'll be sending them out. So we want to be really clear and aware about who's performing in it. So as soon as we know, we'll share it with you guys. So next up, we've got the community engagement. So the use of the courtiers is the main part of the community engagement for the show. As mentioned before, they're required on the bump-in day between 2 and 5. As mentioned, that's flexible, but that's the time for them to rehearse. We're actually adding Slingsby absorbing the cost of sending an extra person on the road to help train that person up. They're going to be an associate artist who will work with those courtiers and get them up to speed, welcome them into the Slingsby family, and make them feel very comfortable and welcome. So that'll be really great, having that extra person to help out with that.
So that associate artist will also be our sort of, I guess, our creative representative on the road as well. So we'll be able to work with you. We'll look after the touring party and make sure they're all comfortable, but can be the main kind of go-between on the ground, and helps sort of shape that, curate that entry process, and really support those local performers. So that's really important for us. It's a role that we've kind of created for international touring when I can't be everywhere all the time. So that's just an additional thing that we've decided we want to do for quality of experience. Yeah,
fantastic. And on the Dropbox, there are new videos that go through each of those courtier roles. There's 4. We need, depending on the capacity of your venue, between 4 and 6 courtiers. I think we've said up to 150, you can have 4 courtiers. For capacity of 200, it goes up to 5, and then 250, it goes up to 6. It just ensures that the audience gets the most engagement. It's not diluted by just having 4 courtiers for the whole, possibly up to 250 people.
Yeah. So there are significant resources there that are available so that the people that you cast in those role of courtiers can view those videos before we arrive, and they'll also be used as resources in that training as well. So there's, in the Dropbox, you'll find there's scripts for each of the courtier roles. There's 4 roles, and then there's also a description of the overview of that whole process in a video, and then also a video overview of each of those roles and what their function really is, and some sort of notes on the performative side of that.
Fantastic. With the rehearsal on the bump-in day, we also ask that front of house manager or a representative from front of house attends the first hour of that rehearsal, so that they can work, so that they are aware of how the courtiers will run the front of house, just to make sure that we can comply with all of your safety, of health and safety requirements in regards to the show. In regards to I might move on to the Recce's, because that's quite linked in with community engagement. Because as most of you are aware, the show involves your whole venue. It's not just the acting space. So it's quite detailed in how it works. So Andy is hoping to get out to pretty much every venue on the tour to do a recce beforehand so that the company are more prepared when they arrive, and so that he can actually meet with you and hopefully your tech manager and front of house person to talk through how that's going to work, how it's going to look, what things they've got to keep in mind, and how you guys would best like it presented. So in regards to those recce's, I might hand over to you, Andy, to just run through. You're saying end of November and early December?
Yeah, so late November, early December, and then also February as well is fairly clear for me. So that would generally be maybe an hour and a half to a two-hour meeting, where ideally it's yourself and someone from production, and really I just sort of sneak about the venue with you, looking at the possibilities for entry process and corridors, and then I bring my selfie stick and film myself walking around your venue, so that we've got a document there where we kind of go, yep, this is what it's going to be like, and so that our production team and our artistic associate can look at that before they arrive, so that we're all on the same page in terms of how we're going to make the most of the opportunities that your venue present. And so then I'll, via Dropbox, make that video available to you and your team as well in advance. And then, sort of a month or 6 weeks out, you'll all get a video, an email saying, here's a rundown of the courtier process, a bit more on the training, another link to those resources in Dropbox, including the scripts, what we bring, what we ask the courtiers to bring in terms of costume, simple costume that they provide, we provide everything else. So that then it's just a little recap on that meeting. So that if I'm there in February or late this year, that will still give us plenty of time to work out egress and how we work around your venue. But happy to answer any questions about that.
Janelle's just asked, is it worth inviting the tertiary students and their teachers who are being trained up as the courtiers while Andy's doing the recce tour?
Maybe, although maybe one, but it's certainly we've managed now to do, I don't know, more than a dozen venues of this training, and it really is achievable in that 3 hours. It's always nice to meet someone as a representative if it is a tertiary institution, so that if they have questions, I can respond to them. But it wouldn't need to be the full students, because I'm still making it. A lot of that meeting time is me trying to work out how we're going to reimagine the experience for your venue.
And that creative process.
Yeah, it's me scratching my head.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, you all know your venues really well, and so you'll have great ideas. So it's really a collaboration between us to take the audience into the most exciting possible locations whilst maintaining the narrative and keeping the flow of keeping it flowing, so that we get everybody through the experience in the right amount of time as well.
Yeah. So Janelle suggested that she might just bring the teacher from that group.
That's great.
I think would work better, because then the teacher will have a better understanding of the overview. And when did you say Andy will visit the venues? So Queensland, you're looking at December?
Yeah, I was hoping late November, early December. Last week of November, first week of December was my plan, and then any time in February. So what I'll start to maybe we'll start to sort of send around a schedule for us to start locking some of them in, just because of travel time between venues. I have to work that out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, beautiful.
But the other thing is, it's a nice opportunity for us to meet face to face and talk about the show more, because I won't be able to be on the tour for the whole time. So that's the other kind of nice thing, is we get to really collaborate to make this show work best for your venue.
Fantastic. It's an absolute dream to be able to get you out on the road to do the Recce. So it's a very rare occurrence with national touring. So
I know it's nice for me too.
valuable. Yeah, definitely. It means the depths of engagement with the presenters as well will be a lot deeper. They're not just getting a show that's rocking up and leaving, but there's that ongoing relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Really useful. Which leads nicely to the next point. So tour communications and the NTS. So I'm just going to invite Sarah Knight to join me over here. She's the manager of the NTS, the National Touring Selector, who's going to sit here. So to help with communications throughout the tour, we'll continue to have these meetings. We'll have one of these in February, which will really delve a lot deeper into the courtiers process. And then one again in May, which will be more in regards to publicity and the actual technical questions relating to the show. In the meantime, we're working with the NTS on finding an easy way to communicate and making sure that you guys always have access to the latest documentation and information. So Sarah has kindly created a new module just for us and just for this tour. So it's first time being used, so we welcome any feedback and any opinions on what could be done better or what's really useful. And hopefully it's going to really assist everyone in coming together as part of the Slingsby family. So I might hand over to Sarah, who's going to share screen and
shift screen. So we've created this module we call the Touring Pack, and it is hosted on the National Touring Selectors. So all of the presenters already have a presenter profile, except Lee. We've just created one for you for the AY Theatre. Yes, we just created one just this morning, and there'll be no cost to use this. So let me just show you what it'll look like. Hopefully we're sharing the screen now. So for those who have never been to the National Touring site, there's a huge database of shows from Australia and New Zealand. Previously we've been mostly involved in markets, but this is a new module that we've created that is hopefully, it's a way to help with communications once the tour has started, because the producers have put a great deal of detail into the production mystery, which you continue to use through the tour. There's full information there, but we've just created what's called a private forum. So we've got a few more tricks we have to do before you guys can log in. So I'm actually showing you the test site. As you can see, it says test presenter. But when you log in, and we'll send you logins and everything like that, so you can, don't worry about that. You'll see this tours button up here. And you guys will already be linked to the Young King. It's a private forum, as I said. It's just for you presenters on this tour. No other presenters will be able to see this information. So it's a place for you guys to discuss things as well, which is a great opportunity. So the first page of the tour, in the tours, you click on the Young King here, and that takes you to the actual module. And there's a bit of a notice board up the top. And there's a bit of a few contacts. Below that is the actual forum itself. This is an area where you as a presenter can post a question. And also if Pippa or Slingsby have received a question that seems relevant to the entire presenter base, they can post it here. So it would be just a matter of clicking into that and seeing the questions. I just made these up. They all need to be, the answers need to be changed. I just put these in earlier. So yeah, and so you guys can have conversations. You might want to have conversations regarding what tricks you've learned at your venue with the courtiers. You might want to ask questions of Slingsby or the tour coordinator. And as I say, we're just starting this, so, and I spelled courtiers wrong, here. Sorry about that. So it's really open, we're really open to see how you might use it. But it's a question and answer tool, and it could be about anything on the tour. It could be about technical information, it could be about marketing information. There's a little forum search, so if this forum gets you guys go wild with your questions, you can look for answers here by sort of searching relevant questions. So there's a question about where do I find the schedule? Well, hopefully, eventually, it'll get to the files download area. So in the files download, currently it's just set up with links to the Dropbox, just because this is a testing site. But this will have some extra information about the marketing information and where you can go to download things. And so you should be able to, theoretically, if I click into that, we should be able to straight open that, and it will, we can download that. There will also be one more little module coming. Is in here you'll see meetings. So the recording of this meeting will in the next week go up here. So if you've got other staff that you thought would be really useful for them to see this meeting, you can watch it here. And regarding other staff, if you have other staff like technical managers, marketing managers that you think should be getting the latest information, which it would be held in this tour pack, then we can create logins for them as well. And link them with your presenter profile. And there's no cost to the presenters for this pilot. It's a pilot, as I say, so you'll have a membership that goes to the end of the tour to access this. So I'm really, really keen to hear your feedback, whether you think it's naff, whether you think it's helpful, so we can sort of create useful tools for producers in Australia and New Zealand. And one more thing, you can always just click this back, and that will go straight back to the original information that the Young King has put up previously. And then over and back into the toolpack. So that's just a brief overview. I will be contacting you all probably via email or phone if it, just to take you through it. Most of you already have logins. If you've forgotten them, that's all right, we can talk and arrange those. So I would say by the end of this week, we will have you all linking and getting on, and you'll be able to see that little tour area there to get your show. That's my bit. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or concerns about that. We're trying to make it as easy as possible and get you on using that module.
Beautiful.
Leslie.
That's fantastic. So hopefully it's a really useful portal so that if you or your team have any questions about the tour or the production, you can just go to this one page and we'll have everything there that we need.
Yeah, so with regards to individual communications around contracts and financing and things, that's an individual conversation that you would have with Pippa. This is really information that's pertinent to the whole presenter database, and you never know when your question might really help out a presenter down the line. And we're just trying to create that chat sort of area and one source of the latest information. Yes, Tom, I will, let me write your name down and I can sort that out. Tom wants to be the main contact.
Oh, Fred Wallace is leaving, is he?
Aww.
That's very sad.
Okay, we'll sort that out, Tom. But yeah, so the one source, so it stops conversion control, it stops people who are coming to the show later on and the delivery process within your venue. They can also have a log onto this to get the up-to-date information.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. I greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to.
I'll shift in. See you all.
Thank you for that. So that's a bit of a perk to be able to get that for free. So that should really help. So that's in regards to the tour communications. On the first page of that, it gives you my email and phone number. It gives you Stacey's at Slingsby, and it gives you Roland, who's the production manager. And it will have Andy's on there as well, so you can contact each of us individually outside of the forum if you need to. Okay, so let's just have a look. Is there any chats that we need to talk about?
I was just going to say, Pippa, if it's possible, it would be great if we can get every venue to send their basic tech specs for the venue that they plan for us to be in, emailed to me.
Yep, definitely. So
Venue
that's Andy at slingsby.net.au.
And then I'll collate them because Roland is working over a number of projects, including projects that are not us. So we need to. I'll just coordinate that to start with.
Fantastic. That sounds brilliant. All right. We might open it up so that everyone can ask any questions that they may have of Andy or Stacey or myself.
I had a question. Ian from the Joan.
Welcome.
Hi guys. Just wanted to check for the looking at schools' performances. I think I've got my wires crossed. Just want to confirm. What's the ages and years that it's aimed at marketing?
Yeah, so an 8-year-old, which is, can be grade 4, 3, 4.
Yep.
Plus, all the way up to high schools. And I know that does sound like a ridiculous claim, but we do have really great experiences with high school students from year 8, year 9, all the way through to year 12. There's a lot of, because of the whole immersive entry, the whole experience, it does really connect with that older school audience. And there's certainly a lot for them to consider and discuss in terms of theatre making. And the story about privilege and how to lead is told in a way that it's relevant to everybody.
That's really great. Thank you.
I have a question.
It works really well for older generations as well because of the Oscar Wilde name.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we really do. Our Slingsby audience, we really do like for ourselves consider it to be a village audience. So that's everybody, everybody that's old enough to consider death in a, 8 and up. We really love that, where it's not schools audiences, for it to be grandparents, parents, children, all together.
It's Kat from the Joan. So you're looking at 250 max?
Yeah, that's because of the entry experience. Once it gets beyond that, it's very difficult to break the audience into those smaller groups to have that entry process.
Right, okay. I'm just thinking about, we've got, 470-something venue capacity, so... 370. So, yeah, we'll just, we'll cut it down. Yep, we'll manage that. Okay, cool.
Right. Because even in a proceeding march venue, then the cast are going to make their way into that auditorium. So we're really trying to create that whole experience that the audience feel like they're part of. And once we get into getting the audience over 250 making their own hats, both time consuming and chaos.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I've got a question, Andy.
Yes. Hey, Tom.
How are you? I'm just wondering, the dimensions you give in the tech specs are no less than 11 by 14. The venue that we're considering for this, which is, I think, in every other way perfect, is 10 by 16.5 metres. I'm just wondering, are you adaptable enough to kind of cope with something like that?
Yeah, we are. So it really, we're about to make that work, because it's really, the 11 is the seating bank. So we can have a chat to you about capacity, because we travel with our own seating for 140 people in a studio venue of that size, and they're fold out benches that create a tiered seating bank. So we'll be able to find a way to make that work with you, Tom.
Okay, that'd be great.
So it may be either we reduce the capacity slightly, or we just have a look at the configuration. But the great thing about 16 metres by 10 metres is it means that we'll be able to fit the hat making area and probably the corridor of secrets all within that space, with a bit of pipe and drape. And
no, let me tell you, we've got fantastic corridors and other rooms like snaking around that space.
Brilliant.
So I think it'll work really well for that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Tom, are you looking at the new venue, the Alex, or?
We're looking at the Sound Gallery, which is it's not actually built yet. It's in the process of being built. Well, actually, it is up, but we don't have access to it yet. So I can send you the plans to give you a bit of a sense of how it will work, and I'm pretty sure, I will need to kind of clarify with venue management exactly what we can and can't do in bits of it, but I think it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. It depends where we can go. Sorry.
Yeah. That sounds exciting to me, Tom.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's Chanel here. Oh, good. Sorry. Our pre-show venue is in a foyer, and we've been just waiting for you to come and visit the venue, Andy, but December may be too late because it's not adjacent to the theatre. It's outside in a lounge area. So there's no direct corridor that the participants can travel through to get into the performance. So is that adaptable?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, each audience has not seen the other version than the version that they're getting. Do you know what I mean? So long as we can maintain the integrity of that experience for that audience, and that we train those audience to be able to deliver the best experience possible in that situation, then of course, I mean, the pre-show thing is very important for inducting the audience into the world of the show. So we're flexible.
Great, because that hinges on that ability. The space itself is discreet, but it's just not got that direct little corridor.
Yeah. So what we can do is we can complete the entry process in that other space, and then parade everybody together into the chamber.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
We'll just be creative.
Janelle, did you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Beautiful.
I had one last question, actually. This is Ian from the Joan again.
Hey, Ian.
Education-wise, are there any? I saw something about a potential activities that may be linked to the show, or maybe I'm just imagining it. I just wanted to see if there were any.
There's fairly significant education resources for 2 levels. There's a study guide and then an activity book as well for younger students. And then there are national curriculum links as well. And we also have, there's a pre-recorded synopsis, which has Jackie Phillips telling briefly the synopsis, the story of the young king, with Quincy Grant's music behind it as well, which is also a very useful resource for school groups and general audience as well to hear the story before they arrive, because not many people know the story. Sometimes it's helpful to just know the story before you arrive. Not that the story isn't clearly told through the piece, but it does help some audience members when there's a discombobulating experience going on in the entry process for them to know the story.
Is that all in the Dropbox, Andy?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And it's also all available on our website on the Young King page.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We'll make sure all of that's on the NTS page as well. There's also information on creating a relaxed performance. Do you want to talk about that, Andy?
Yeah, so for us, it's very important that we all work together to make everybody feel welcome in the theatre. So in terms of any access performances that you have the resources or capacity to deliver on, we will very, very happily work with you on that. So that could be Auslan interpreted performances. It could be audio described performances, and also we have done relaxed performances as well. And we have some resources that Stacey can assist in sharing in to build a narrative of what the experience of arriving at the theatre will be like, and entering into the theatre experience is like for certain audience members that find that anxious making.
That's great. Thanks, mate. The pre-recorded synopsis is also good for access for people hard of sight as well.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
Really great. Thank you.
Yeah, there's also, I know there's a triggers overview as well in there, which is really useful for that as well.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry, Janelle?
I did have another question. I'm sorry. Those resources that you did send through about the instructions for the courtiers, am I free to share that with some of the 2 lecturing staff who will be coordinating their students?
Yeah, they're internal documents and videos, only because no one needs that much boredom of me talking. But you're free to share them with people that are part of the project.
Right. That's all I wanted to do. Just the teacher who's going to be coordinating the students.
Yeah, great. It's a really good idea. That first overview video I don't know, goes for about 15 minutes or something. But it'll give them
Yes,
a pretty good
I've seen
idea
it,
of what's going on.
Yeah, and it gives the teacher an understanding too, and it allows the teacher to prepare in advance so that students get accredited, so that we're not exploiting the students
Absolutely.
and getting them to. Yeah, great.
All right, beautiful. Has anyone else got any questions? Maybe we'll look to WA. We've just got manager on the line. She doesn't have a microphone, does she?
No.
So,
I've got one more question, just quickly, if I could. Which this is Stacey and Andy. I'm just wondering, compared to the freight for a meal, is this more or less? I'm just trying to budget for it. Good question.
It's a full shipping container.
Right. Does that mean it's about the same?
About the same.
Yeah. Okay.
About the same, actually. Yeah.
I'll put a bit more in then.
Yeah. It was
Just cover it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good.
The meal was supposed to be smaller, but
Yeah. Thank you.
is that in regards to freight, Tom?
Yes. So I suppose this might be of interest to other people that we wound up spending about 2,200 to freight a meal from Adelaide to Melbourne. So I'm budgeting 3,000 to freight the young king.
Well, you actually don't need to, Tom, because that's covered by Playing Australia.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, because in the original agreement I thought it wasn't.
Yeah, no, with the Playing Australia grant, it covers the cost of freighting the set around the country.
How absolutely fantastic. I'll take it out of my budget.
that can go towards the next. That can go to the next Slingsby show, Tom.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it can go to an Auslan performance.
Oh, yes, that'll be great.
That'd be amazing.
Yep.
Great.
So we just heard from Kelly, no questions, WA. Anyone in Victoria with any questions? Anyone in New South Wales?
No.
And how about Queensland?
Nope, nothing from marketing.
I think we're fine.
Yeah. And Lee, are you still there? Up in Cairns?
Yes, no, I'm here. Thank you so much. It all sounds really exciting.
Very cool.
Oh, Pip, I did have one more. Could you just remind me the next Zoom meeting date you proposed?
So the next Zoom meeting will be in February. I'm just working with Slingsby to work out the exact date of that.
Okay, great. And
So there'll be the one in February will be for more detail on the courtiers process and to answer any question that you or your team have on that.
I'm just thinking about my marketing team, whether it would be a good one to kind of put them into.
When they can attend it, it's not, the more of a publicity angle will be the May meeting.
Okay. I might get them just to send any questions before that anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even though we're having these meetings, you are always welcome to send any questions through at any time.
Yeah.
You don't have to save them up for these meetings by any means.
You can chat with us too, Tom.
Thanks, Andy. Will do.
Beautiful. And we've actually got to finish early, so that's fantastic news. One last call for any last questions. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's been really useful.
Thank you for organising it, Pippa. Thank you so much.
Catching up. I think hopefully we'll make everything a lot clearer for everyone. So thank you so much.
We'll be in touch about Recce's.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Thank you very much, Andy and Stacey, for your time today as well. We really
Pleasure. Great pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.